Well, hello, my name is John Miller. I'm the Executive Director of the Shippensburg History Center. And today we're talking a little bit about the tools of the average Revolutionary War soldier as well as the militia soldier who served during the campaign season. So some of the common things that you would see soldiers have, obviously they're going to have a smoothbore musket or perhaps maybe a rifled musket. Here we have a first pattern brown bess that would have been left over from the French and Indian War. And of course, soldiers were required about 3 to 4 times per minute in order to shoot this during battle conditions, but controlled fire was more like 1 to 2 shots per minute. We have a utility tool here. This is called the bayonet. It can go to the end of the gun, or soldiers can actually use it around a campfire to do fatigue, cooking up their meal and stuff like that. That's pretty much a lot what I use this for. And it goes right into this leather compartment known as a scabbard. And then here we have the hanger that goes with it. Here we have a cartridge box. This here would hold 19 rounds of ammunition. And of course, ammunition is going to be pre-rolled. Here we have an example of a pre-rolled cartridge. And on the inside, we have a projectile. So basically it would be a round ball. From there, if you were in the militia and you had an older stockpile, maybe perhaps you would be issued the belly box. So basically it would wrap around your belly and it would hold ammunition as well. So here we actually have some blanks that were left over from an event up at Fort Loudon. I always carry a spare belt with a knife here because that knife is very useful when it comes to, especially around the campfire when you're cooking. Some of the militiamen may have carried a tomahawk or a hatchet. So here we have one, just your basic hatchet. A lot of fatigue duties would have been great with this, especially with firewood. If you didn't have a cartridge box, and perhaps you were in a militia, you would have a possibilities bag, or some people would call this a shooter's bag. This basically has everything that you need to keep your gun in working order, from tools to spare flints. Here I also have a pouch that contains smaller balls here. So this here would be more along the lines of like my buckshot. So that almost would convert this into a shotgun if you do buck and ball, or if you just did buckshot itself. I have 2 variations of powder horns here, but the powder horn, if you didn't have cartridges, basically you would go ahead and use this to pour powder down the barrel. You have to be really good at it because you have to know how many ounces of powder you're pouring per second out of the different sizes here. We have a wallet, or a market wallet. This is great for carrying supplies in it, but most likely they're going to go ahead and use a knapsack to carry most of their private or personal gear, along with the blanket roll that's attached. We have our tin canteen as well as a gourd canteen here. I always tell people water is the #1 weapon, clean water. So you can go days without food, but you can't go days without fresh water. Now, as you can see, I'm out of regulations because I have not shaved, but here's my shaving kit. And of course, soldiers of the period were required to shave. So we have our razor, soap, brush, toothbrush, and comb, as well as tobacco there. And coming over here to my food, I have ship's biscuits. But in reality, your rations would be beef or pork or smoked fish, any kind of vegetable that would be in season. And a lot of times they issued out the food basically once a week to the soldiers. And then we have our fire starter kit here with charred cloth that I actually made. So when you're starting your fire, you're going to take this charred cloth, you're going to put it right up on your flint. That way when you strike, it's going to force that spark to come here. Once this is glowing red, or orange we should say, you have your bird's nest material here, and you would just put that here, blow on it, and once it started catching fire, then you would put it down along with your kindling in order to build your fire from there. This is pretty cool because these are actual pieces from about 250 years ago. This is my fork and knife from the Revolutionary War period, as well as my plate. Tin cup and my pail here for me to go ahead and cook some of my rations into. And then coming over here, these are just examples of some of the uniforms. I actually handmade these out of Henry Cook's patterns. So these here are good examples of early regimental uniforms from Pennsylvania. So the green here was issued out to some of the Pennsylvania troops that were serving up in Canada after that expedition had pretty much failed. A lot of Pennsylvania troops were also issued out uniforms that were brown as well as red. So this would be a standard Pennsylvania uniform from like, say, 1776 to about 1778, 79. And then early war Continental Army could be with a hunting frock like this, or a lot of times the militia also wore this during their campaigns when they were serving with the military. Waistcoat, I have an undershirt underneath of this, breeches, your stockings, leather shoes with a buckle, and then here you have your tricorn, which was actually known as a cocked hat during the period.